If everyone's trying to go viral, is anything really original anymore? It's not that strategies or content plans are inherently bad. If you're not being flexible enough or you're not being willing to pivot enough, it can become flat, formulaic.
Remember that when it comes to trends and when it comes to riding the wave, you really have to keep in mind the speed and the pace in which the market is moving. Welcome to the Social Edge podcast. I'm Isho.
I'm Georgia.
And today we're talking about whether going viral is killing creativity.
If everyone's trying to go viral, is anything really original anymore? Today we're diving into the trade-off between creativity and clicks.
Oh my gosh.
So whether true innovation can still thrive in the age of trends. Let's get into it.
I think I want to start with a big question, because I think a lot of creative individuals in this space are sitting on this. And my question is, are creators now more strategic than creative when it comes to their content creation, when it comes to the algorithm, and how they navigate?
I think what it is a lot of brands and individuals and creators are sort of, instead of just coming up with concepts for the content they create or being original or just sharing their story, they're sort of like reverse engineering the content that they create. So they're seeing what other people are doing, and then they're like reverse engineering it for themselves to try to trend, to try to have a result, to try and push likes. And there's sort of this pressure to follow like a trend template instead of just sort of experimenting or sharing your story. And I guess that can have an impact on whether the content's truly original. It can also put like a bit of a pressure to just kind of keep doing what other people are doing, like going with the flow, rather than just being yourself.
Absolutely. And I think it's so interesting, right? Just before we started shooting, we talked about the new trend of a lot of creators using famous personnel images inside of their carousel. Great idea. That has nothing to do with the carousel, but grabs attention, like hooks them, like that visual hook.
So so even the fact that people are doing that, they're doing it to get attention, to trend, to get interaction. So it's like it's that idea that we're doing things not because it's original, because it's the content we want to put out, but to get engagement.
That's it.
So
it's what's working right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the question you asked at the beginning, like, are creators more strategic than creative? Well, especially in the space of some of our clients, you have to be strategic to kind of get that engagement. But I think, and we're really big on content planners, right? And strategy. So we help people come up with strategies for their socials. We then come up with content plans, and there's room for maneuvering around that and like dipping into trends and doing your own stuff. But we try to help people stay organized, because otherwise it can become overwhelming. It's hard to stay on track. It's hard to keep going. So we try to take some of that pressure away.
100%.
But at the same time, I think it's not that like strategies or content plans are inherently bad. It's just that if you're not being flexible enough or you're not being willing to pivot enough, it can become a bit like your content can become a bit flat, formulaic. There's
you
no
get
sort
into
of,
this like posting for the sake of posting rather than being intentional.
You're not like, and your content's not performing, but you keep posting the same thing over and over again anyway. So it's like you're just going to end up to ruin the same results. You're not going to get new results. You're not going to tap into something. So I think like I want to kind of like ask a question off the back of this. How can people then like, you know, follow the trends, but stay original, like, you know, come up with their own concepts? Maybe it's like what we do sometimes with people is we like help people use trends or use concepts that other people have used, but like still make it fit themselves. It's a bit of a reverse engineering, but it's just about adding your spin, adding your touch. So you're not just kind of following the trend, you're doing your own version. You have room to play,
right? Yeah. I think the important part, people need to remember that when it comes to trends and when it comes to riding the wave, you really have to keep in mind the speed and the pace
Yeah.
in which the market is moving. Right now, for example, everything is short, snappy,
Yeah.
hooks are super
Very
massive.
hook-driven, text-based, like first post.
Absolutely. It's all about your attention. And once you grab people's, how much can you hold them for? So it's almost like coming down to really getting good at your copy and understanding how can I communicate my message or what I'm trying to get across through this reel or carousel in the shortest ways possible.
Yeah.
To get people to scroll all the way to the end and then get that like or
I
get
like
engaged in the comments, right?
Yeah, and like, okay, I want to go into another question and we can talk about a specific update in relation to this. So most recently, or not most recently, but in recent months, Instagram started to make it so that if you added a trending audio to your carousel, it would appear on the For You page as if it were a reel. So that meant that like before it was like you would only post reels to get engagement. Now carousels were getting the same kind of engagement as reels. So people started to leverage this. So they would put like text posts and like utilize carousels in a more strategic way, which was really nice because it brought Instagram back to what Instagram once was. But how do you think, with that idea in mind, and there's many others, but how do algorithms shape what gets made and what doesn't? So like that's an example where the algorithm or like the platform made a tweak for that feature, and then the algorithm supporting then carousel content.
Yeah.
And then how do people then start to pivot their strategies to do that? Obviously, we do this for clients.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I think it's really interesting because I have a couple of thoughts as you were saying this. Initially, everybody was using the trending sounds. You were picking the right music, the right tone. Does it work with your brand, with kind of what you're trying to position yourself as? Nowadays, actually, a lot of people use trending sounds for the sake of the trend of the sound and mute it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to have any sound on it, but use the momentum of the trending sound to push their content's virality. Now, a lot of people, you've got to be very intentional that you can use all of these things with the option whether to mute or unmute content. But more than that, we're seeing these carousels where people hook somebody in with maybe an image or a visual hook of some sort, and they go into a real content on slide 2, slide 3, whatever it may be, right? Because you initially start thinking, oh, this is a carousel, it's only text, and you get them into a video. You redirect them to something more personal. Hey, now that you've scrolled here, here's what I want to get across to you, right? So in some ways, we don't know what will work for how long.
Yeah.
And how long that trend will be going for. But in ways, you just have to implement it. Like, for example, when I look at sometimes our social media at Creativity Studios, we've used some carousels where we have videos in them. If I look back, in my personal opinion would be, oh, maybe I wouldn't have done that because I don't want the aesthetic look of our grid to look like that. But for the progress of the account, it's beneficial.
Yes.
Right?
So like, yeah, I like what you're saying because I think it aligns with this sort of thought process, which is you should follow the trends. And if a trend is like happening, it's good to jump on it because it can help grow your reach.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be in like handcuffs to the trends. So like, you don't want to be like allowing the algorithm to be the creative director.
Or to control where you're going, right? Because if tomorrow it drops, what happens then?
Yes.
Right?
And you want to maintain your brand voice or your business's brand voice or your personal brand voice. You want to maintain that even if you're jumping on trends. So if you're going to jump on a trend, you want to make sure that that trend still aligns with your messaging and you still keep your messaging clear by leveraging the trend without being sort of stuck to it. And if you just keep jumping on trends, like for example, there was like a while ago, it was like using 3-second reels to trend because you would increase your watch time, and by increasing your watch time, you're going to have like more engagement, and then that's going to like trick the algorithm that you're getting more people are rewatching your
and you're visible
reel.
everywhere, basically. Yeah.
But the thing is, by doing that, you're sort of, it's taking you away from some of that longer content, which is like storytelling, more sharing who you are. So what we're kind of trying to say is that if you are going to allow the algorithm or trends to shape the kind of content that you're putting out, not to kind of tie yourself up in handcuffs to the trends, but instead create like a clear strategy that aligns with your brand voice and then leverage the trends for exposure and growth.
Again, and we said this in the previous episode, you don't want the algorithm to be the content creator. You don't want it to be the creative director to be driving your vision. You want it to be, again, what we said in the previous episode, you want it to be the tool in your hand.
Yes.
Use it as something that helps you accelerate what you already know is working and amplifies it, rather than using it as a source, which eventually, with time and different people, it will change.
Yeah, and you don't want to like, just because like, it's about picking the trends that align with you, because like, there might be like a funny trending audio, but it just completely contradicts your brand. So you're not going to use that unless you can be strategic in how you make it cleverly apply. Yeah. So it's really about like picking the ones that are applicable to you, not just jumping on every and any trend because it's there.
And sometimes you don't want to do that. You know, a lot of times you would see what was the Super Bowl dance that they did? The crip walking or whatever it was. Yeah. A lot of like 80% plus of content creators online began to use that trend on social media literally the day after. But you don't have to actually engage with that if you don't think that's gonna.
Yeah, you don't have to jump on every trend. It was like the very demure, very cutesy vibe.
Yeah.
Like trend, like it was like someone that went viral, and then everyone was putting like posts up very demure, very cutesy. Like some like people did it, and it just was really funny because they were quick on it.
Yeah.
But then like you always get then those like tailgaters of the trend, and it's like
it's been like 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks, and they're still putting it up, and it's like okay, it's gone now. It's like you missed that boat, and it's like it's not to say that you can't jump on trends late. It's just that like if you're gonna have the bounce of a trend, you want to jump on it fast. Right? Yeah, there's a sweet spot
behind it, for sure.
So yeah, like I think that's a really good point. So oftentimes creators are trying to avoid like risky content, so it's easier to jump on a trend. But if you're gonna jump on a trend, just be strategic in how you do it.
Yes, absolutely. So diving into this, I want to touch on, can creativity survive when attention is currency? You know, we often talk about time and how everybody's time is important, and you know, we all have the same 24 hours and all that sort of stuff, but actually we're not fighting for people's time, we're fighting for their attention. So saying that, can creative individuals, creativity in general, can that survive in the space of us trying to really trade our currency of attention?
Yeah, so we're trying to capture everyone's attention all the time. Can we still thrive in being creative in our space?
What does that look like?
I think like it's about understanding that like if you're going to exercise creative freedom in your socials and the stuff you're going to post, you want to like define your target audience. Yeah. Who is your ideal avatar? What is the niche you're trying to target? This is all about the American phrase is like the riches are in the niches, but we say niche in the UK, but it's niche. Yeah. So they say the riches are in the niches, which means riches are in the niches. And the point is that by niching down, the reason the riches are there is because you can target your ideal avatar.
Hyper focus
on them, and you're going to be able to create content around them. So I think creative freedom is in your niches. Because once you start to target that smaller, loyal community, it might not be in the mass appeal, so it might not go viral. Yeah, but you're more likely to convert that audience than what you are. Yeah. The stuff that goes viral, because like some of that stuff that goes viral, you might like, and we've had this with clients, like they go viral, millions and millions, like millions and millions and millions of views and reach, crazy, and it's crazy. But those people don't necessarily aren't their ideal avatar.
Absolutely, so for sure.
It takes intentionality to sort of not try and go viral, but talk to your audience.
Absolutely.
Equally, it's all about sustainability and longevity. We've talked about this in previous episodes. So you're being intentional in your creativity. Yeah. And I think it goes to say, obviously everyone would love to go viral. Everyone who wants to go viral, who wants to have a public account. Yeah. It would be great to go viral. It'd be great to grow your followers. It'd be great to have that exposure. But the truth is, you need to know what you're doing, your vision. We've touched on this
are you going to be ready for it once it comes?
Are you going to be ready for are you going to be ready for that viral moment? And we'll touch on that in another episode, I'm sure, because that's a good topic in itself, what to do once you go viral. But I think what you want to do is not focus on getting those viral moments and jumping on the trends. What you want to do is focus on really defining your core messaging, your brand, your vision.
Yeah.
What are you trying to build? Who is your ideal avatar? Who is your ideal client? What are your four free key content pillars? Create your content around that, and where you can, jump on trends that apply to that.
Yeah.
Because the trends are going to help you like push beyond your normal reach. They're going to help grow your exposure. Also, you can use other tactics alongside your other content, like trending sounds, hashtags, like, you know, everyone says hashtags
Keywords,
are dead. But it's not true, because like the truth is the platforms are SEO optimized.
Nowadays, can I add to this really quickly?
Yeah.
So nowadays, if you're posting a story on Instagram and you put keywords, for example, like you're writing a text on the picture, you can, if let's say we're posting social media, we can put social media management, trending sounds, high performance, scalability, and then you grab those keywords and you swipe them off screen. Instagram would still recognize them because they're on the post.
Yes, exactly.
And they're not
so
hashtags.
You can hide them in the background. It's just like keywords.
Yeah.
So you can optimize your content to be like keyword optimized, your captions, the words in your in the like, because even like covers on reels and stuff, right? You can still optimize the keywords in them so that Instagram's picking up what the post is about. And then people are going to get attracted to your post. So it's not all about just jumping on like trend specific, but then there are specific trends, i.e. like there was like I met my younger self for coffee trend recently.
Yeah.
You know, you can jump on a trend like that if it's applicable to what you're posting, your brand, and you can make it apply to you, and you can share a bit more of your story. And that's a nice way to do it. Share a bit of your story. Use a trend to share a bit more about you that you wouldn't normally have had the opportunity to. And then obviously we're kind of talking like that, but there are some brands who can jump on humorous and funny trends, and there are some businesses that can do that. It's all about figuring out what works for you, and just making sure that you have a clear strategy, clear like baseline content pillars, and then you can build upon that. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's all about visibility. Trends are about creating visibility for you, but with visibility, you have to be intentional about what content is on there to actually capture and retain people. I want to quickly go back to what you said about niching down. You know, nowadays, I don't know if you are like this, but sometimes, for example, when I would like to go for a nice dinner or go on an evening out, I love to go and visit these like really tiny restaurants in the center of London where it's like nobody really knows.
Little exclusive hidden
it's
gem.
Exclusive. That's what niching down is like. A little bit. It's like you create an environment for people to come. Hidden gem, feel special, and be like, I want to come here because I know I'm not going to see this person and that person, this type of individual. And, you know, that's the way you need to think about it. It's like, what space am I creating for exclusivity of the avatar and individual I want to attract so they can keep coming back and want more of that.
And this like kind of drags me to this point, which is like, quite often, like people set out or brands set out in their niche, and they niche down, and then they sort of abandon their niche too soon, running after trying to trend. But actually, it would benefit you to just keep going, stick within your niche, because like it's almost like topsy-turvy land, because it's like the more niche you go, the more universally relatable it often becomes. So it's like if you tap into like a small like a creator, or doesn't mean small in following, but like an individual creator, personal brand or business brand, and they're like really niche, they're more likely to resonate with that target audience than like one account that's targeting all of those people. So it's almost like it really is the riches are in the niches. You know, you have to really know your space, know your avatar. And like defining your avatars is a really key skill for businesses.
Which I think we'll unpack a little bit more in another episode, because this is super key.
Brief, I can just go through that. So it's like, if you are a business or someone with a personal brand, you're looking to sell an offer, what you need to do is you need to define who are your ideal audience. And you can have a couple, like normally 3. So it would be like you're targeting a person or a business within this space. You know, what are their key characteristics? What are their key struggles? What are the things that they're facing?
Their pain points.
You sort of like their pain points, and like what bracket of earnings are they in? So you can define your avatars, and maybe we'll create a guide or something that you guys can use to help do this. But you define your avatars, and then once you've defined your avatars, you can then create content to meet your avatar's need.
Specifically tailor it.
Because once you start creating solution-based content, you're going to attract your audience better because they're going to be intrigued and interested in your content.
Yeah.
And then they're going to feed into it because they're going to be like, keep receiving something when they come to your profile. So that niching down and then targeting those specific people is going to produce better results than if you just do like generic content to target everyone.
100%. And again, it makes me want to bring the point of like followers don't really matter so much. Having millions of followers is great to look at, but in terms of if you have 5 million followers but no engagement in community, you're better off having 500 followers and all of them are the right individual that loves what you're doing, supports what you're doing, engages with it, comes to your events, buys your product or engages in your live streams, whatever it may be. I think it's all about finding the right individual and pushing for them and delivering value at every point when they're watching your story or your content and trying to engage with that.
Yeah. So I think like as a closing thought, what we want to say is like chasing viral content or trends isn't inherently bad.
No.
But if you need to focus on building something that is sustainable, that can last and not lose your voice in amongst the trends. Maintain your brand voice. And if you continue to do that, even jumping on trends, you will go further than if you just jump on whatever comes your way.
That's it. Don't be scared to try. As we always say, the slight edge, imperfect action, go, try out, fail forward, and keep learning. Create those short feedback loops because that's how we all learn. We don't learn from successes, we learn from all the failures. So with that being said, we'll leave this episode there and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.